All right, welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever had that feeling where you're trying to find just the right word, but it's like right on the tip of your tongue and you can't grab it? Well, today, we're going to fix that. We are going to unlock 10 super powerful words that will make your vocabulary way sharper and your communication, well, just more precise. And get this, we're talking 10 words in about 5 minutes. So by the end of this, you're going to have a whole new, dynamic way to express yourself. Ready? Let's dive in. Okay, part 1, painting with words. We're going to start with words that help us describe the world around us with, a lot more color and texture. Think of these like getting a whole new set of brushes for your verbal paint set. So let's think about this. How do you describe something like a really twisted tree branch or water that's perfectly clear? I mean, you could just say twisted or clear, but what words can really capture the essence of what you're seeing? Let's find out. First up is gnarled, and yeah, that G is silent, so it's pronounced gnarled. This is for anything that's knotted, twisted, kind of lumpy, usually because of age or going through some hardship. It's a word with a ton of character. And this quote, it just paints the perfect picture, doesn't it? The gnarled limbs of cypresses. Just imagine one of Van Gogh's paintings, right? Those powerful twisted cypress trees just clawing their way up to the sky. That is the perfect image of gnarled. All right, our next one is limpid. Now, this is a fantastic word because it's got a cool double meaning. On one hand, it can mean something is physically clear, totally transparent, but it can also be used for an idea or an explanation that's just crystal clear, super easy to get. And to really nail this down, just look at the comparison here. You've got limpid versus murky. So you could have limpid Caribbean waters, the kind you can see straight to the bottom of. Or you could have a really limpid argument that's just impossible to misunderstand. The opposite? Well, that's murky water or a really confusing, murky explanation. Simple as that. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We're moving from the outside world to the inside, that complex, sometimes messy, inner world of human feelings and actions. Think about it. We've all had those moments that are heartbreaking or felt that really deep bitterness, or seen someone acting totally childish, but finding the exact word for those things, that can be tough. So how do we put a label on these really intense human experiences? Here is such a beautiful word for that, poignant. It's pronounced poignant, and it describes something that hits you right in the feels. It's deeply affecting, usually with this little touch of sadness or nostalgia. It's kind of like a beautiful melancholy. And this example of autumn leaves, man, that just captures it perfectly, right? You've got the stunning beauty of the colorful leaves, but at the same time, there's that hint of sadness that summer's over, that bittersweet mix. That is poignant. Okay, so from sad to, well, mad. Let's talk about rancor. Now, this isn't just being angry. No. Rancor is that deep, bitter, long-lasting resentment. Like, think about a really heated political debate where the two sides don't just disagree, they seem to have this genuine, deep-seated ill will for each other. That's rancor. And here's a word you can probably get some use out of, maybe even today, sophomoric. This describes that specific type of behavior that's both immature and totally overconfident. You know what I mean? It's that know-it-all attitude, but it's combined with a real lack of actual wisdom. And this right here, obviously their argument is fundamentally flawed. That is a classic sophomoric statement. Dropping words like obviously and fundamentally is an attempt to sound super smart, but a lot of the time it just comes off as pretentious and kind of shallow, especially when there's nothing solid to back it up. All right, part 3. Let's get a little more abstract now and tackle some bigger ideas. These are the words that help us talk about concepts, systems, and even power itself. So, how do you put a name to a vague hint of something, or to financial protection, or even unlimited power? I know, they might seem totally unrelated, but they're all these big abstract ideas that we need words for. So, what are they? First one is indemnity. So in simple terms, this is basically security or protection against some kind of financial loss. You'll hear this a lot with insurance or in legal contracts. It's all about getting paid back for damage or loss. For example, you might have heard of a double indemnity clause in an old movie or in an insurance policy. It basically meant that if a death was accidental, the policy would pay out double the normal amount, a huge sum like this. That's indemnity, right there in action. Okay, next up, inkling.
An inkling is just a tiny hint, a vague little notion about something. So if you say, I didn't even have an inkling, what you're really saying is you had absolutely zero clue, not even the slightest little hint of what was about to happen.
And for our last big concept, we have omnipotent. This one's pretty straightforward. It just means all-powerful. Think about the gods in ancient myths, or maybe superheroes in comics who have, totally unlimited, almighty power. Yep, they are omnipotent.
All right, for our final part, let's bring it right back to everyday life. These are two absolutely fantastic words that you can start weaving into your daily chats right away.
So we've got palatable and spontaneous. Palatable is all about something being agreeable, usually to your taste. So a kind of bland dish can be made more palatable with some spices, right? But you can also use it for ideas. A tough concept can be made more palatable with a really good explanation. Then you've got spontaneous, which is all about something being unplanned, totally natural. Like, that spontaneous road trip you decide to take just because. That's the one. And that's a wrap. 10 powerful words, and we've covered 4 key areas. We went from painting with words and decoding human nature all the way to grasping big ideas and words for everyday life. Not bad, right? But, learning the words is just the first step. Here's the real challenge for you. I want you to pick one of these words, doesn't matter which one, maybe gnarled or poignant or spontaneous, and actually use it in a conversation this week. That's how you really, truly make it your own. Thanks for hanging out with me.